coming to you from the fucking We'll Do It Live studios. It's the Sons of Honarchy podcast with one of your co-hosts, Steve-O, that's at Drunk Shy Sox Fan on Twitter.
And the other one, Take Tommy here. We're coming to you with a whole crock of shit, with a lot to get through. But look, this is we're trying to do positive vibes, but we're not really gonna get there, I don't think, because there's too much dog shit to talk about. Anyway, all of this brought to you by
just us. So make sure you rate, subscribe, review to the Sons of Honarchy podcast wherever you catch your podcast, whether that be on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever that is. Yeah, go ahead and go ahead and subscribe to us. And make sure you leave us a nice 4 or, if you're feeling gracious, 5-star review. But we are everybody's favorite 4-star baseball podcast. So you know what? Give us that nice solid 4-star rating while you're at it. So happy Memorial Day for those of you that have the day off. I'm very grateful to have the day off, Tom.
So happy.
And you were at the Coldplay concert last night, so I know you need it.
Holy buckets. I cried. I laughed. Like those stupid movie reviews that are like, it made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me get out of my seat and dance. Like legit though. It made me, and then I watched the White Sox game earlier in the day. You know what? I didn't do any of those things. I'll tell you, I didn't laugh. I might have cried a little bit, but all I remember is at the end of the White Sox game, I literally said, "Fucking finally," and then turned off the radio. And at the end of the Coldplay concert, I was like losing my fucking mind. Like, please play another song. Like,
I know. I wish this team brought that kind of excitement. And I felt the same exact way watching that Sunday Cubs game. We've already named an episode this Sons of Honarchy season 4 here. We've already named one of them Winning Ugly is Sweet. That winning ugly just didn't even seem sweet to me.
No.
Like, there was no silver lining. It was ugly as shit. Props to the bullpen, props to Dylan Cease, but the only runs scored, and our guy Shane Spagnola in the comments here, Lucky Spag, says it was stressful. Yeah, it was. It was,
the 12 guys on base.
Bullpen keeps us on the edge of our seat. Offense can't produce. And the only production within the first 9 innings is a passed ball run. I can't get over how bad this offense is, Tom.
It's terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible. We're what is this? Third to last in the majors.
Third to last in extra base hit. Yep. Behind Pittsburgh. Only behind us are Pittsburgh and Detroit. Those
teams blow. Like this team, and we were talking, and it's like there's definitely guys you can point at and be like, you're bad right now, and you're bad right now. But it feels like the whole goddamn lineup just bad. Oh, and Tim's gone. Yeah. How great is that? Thank you, Spags. Yeah, it's like, really, what the fuck are we gonna do now? Well, we're gonna see a lot of Leary at short, which is just can't wait.
Well, and you know what, that leads me to say this: Jake Berger has looked like a solid, at least over the last week. He's looked pretty freaking solid, especially at the plate. And thankfully, we got a little bit of hitting production out of him this past weekend, and week in general. Yeah, and in particular with that game-winning single what was that, the 12th inning? It felt longer than 12 innings, but it was 12.
Yeah. I will say my two hot takes.
Here we go. This is what we live for.
Both Jake Berger. So first one, yesterday's single, that would have been a line drive that was caught if they had 3 outfielders out there. They set it up with 5 infielders. That, like, if there was a third outfielder, he would have been pulled in. They would have caught that.
It's very possible. Yeah. I'd be I should go look up the expected batting average on that in a minute.
It's like the number 4. Like, hey, it works though. Base hit him to death, baby. Number 2 hot take. Jake Berger has got to play second base.
Oh boy.
Defense doesn't matter, Steve. It doesn't matter.
He
If
already
we
can't. He
get
already can't
dogs,
move at third. He can't
I
move at third at all. You want to move him to second, which
well, maybe
requires
that'll
more
fix him.
range.
Maybe that'll fix him. Like he's got a tough. He's playing a tough third base, so we put him at second base, and he'll be better. It's one less base to think about. You know, third base, that's 3 bases. If he's at second base, it'll be easier because there's 2 bases.
Well, we all know that Rick Hahn.
Arithmetic, Steve.
You're like Rick Hahn in this fact that you absolutely love Jake Berger and you think that he should be plugged in to the starting lineup immediately.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I am not of that thought. I am of the thought once again that the front office completely fucked this up by believing that Jake Berger, Leury Garcia, Josh Harrison was going to be your answer going into this year. It's just absolutely shameful looking at the numbers. I mean, you've got Josh Harrison, who's got an OPS plus of 47, Leury, who has an OPS plus of 37 for Leury. Okay. You can't even platoon these guys and act like it's okay.
So bad.
And here's the deal with guys like Leury, like Josh Harrison, Jake Berger, Adam Engel. They are great 24, 25, 26 bench guys.
Yeah.
You cannot think about playing these guys 120 games a year or even 100 games a year and expect to be a championship caliber club when the rest of the offense isn't producing the way they should, outside of Tim, who's now hurt, Luis, who's supposed to be coming back Tuesday, Wednesday, hopefully. And Luis Abreu's warming up a little bit, which I love to see too. I know that you shouted me out on Twitter.
Jose Abreu's back, and I was like, never thought I'd see the day, because he's always back, which is like, that doesn't make sense, but he really is. He's always like coming back. But anyway, you caught me giggling while you were listing off those names, because you did, in fact, thank you, Spags, forget Mendick is back on the team. I swear to God, he must have 2 houses. Like, he's constantly in Charlotte and he's constantly up here with the ball club. Like, the guy can't catch a break. He can't settle in anywhere, but like, hey, he's getting those major league checks. He's probably fine. Like,
he's, making that nice league minimum, but
every other paycheck is league minimum, and the other paycheck is Charlotte minimum, like whatever the fuck that is.
Right. I mean, it just goes to show that obviously the minor league depth is not there for this team to pull from AAA and be like, hey, we've got somebody that's in the works that we might be putting him up a little bit sooner than we want, but he should be ready to go. I mean, it's a bunch of guys who are quadruple A for life, which is just really, or are at the point in their career like Josh Harrison where they look like they're absolutely toast. Yeah. So I'm
just thinking about how you were saying Jose Abreu was toast like a week and a half ago.
Hey man, I hope I'm wrong about Josh Harrison. The glove has been meh, but
yeah.
And you know what? I'll take a meh glove out of him. It's just painful thinking about how bad he's been at the plate. And I do not care about this stat at all, Jordan Miller. Thank you for joining us in the chat. I don't care that Mendick has a 754 OPS, because it's like, how many plate appearances? 40? Come on, get out of here.
It's like 12 actually, or something. I'm sure.
Atrocious.
We're not going to check the numbers because it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
The fact that
Mendick, chill, bro, chill. Like,
well, speaking of guys who are completely rusty and do look like they are burnt toast, let's talk about something that we can celebrate.
The Dallas Keuchel era has come to an end.
Woo!
Hallelujah.
Very grateful for that.
Oh man, I mean, look, I'm never gonna like relish the fact that I was just celebrating it like 2 seconds ago. I'm never gonna relish the fact that somebody lost a job. But look, first of all, he's gonna be fucking fine. He's owed. This is per ESPN, so take it with a grain of salt. It's numbers, so it's correct. He's owed $14,456,044 by the White Sox after he got DFA'd. So that's the $12 million salary plus the buyout for the 2023 season. Yes, the man had a buyout of his option for the 2023 season. Fucking hell, bro. Like, he is fine.
That is okay.
He's also gone, which is the best part. He's fucking gone, bro.
You know, there was something in his contract too, where if he pitched a certain amount of innings in 22, he would be like his buyout would be more, or they had to give him an offer for 23. So I'm really glad
He would have
that
taken that offer in a fucking heartbeat.
they are just finally severing ties with Dallas Keuchel.
Yes.
And it was very nice to see I think he had 11 starts in 2020 during the pandemic year. And it was nice to see him pitch well. I had a feeling it wasn't going to last long. I thought maybe he'll have a solid 21 and then 22. It's going to be all downhill.
I remember us arguing about that too. I was like, he's going to be fine.
He's going to be pitching into his 40s, man. No, especially when you've got Kelly Nash as, the new breadwinner of the house. He's going to be totally fine.
He is fine.
So I'm not sad that Dallas Keuchel's out of a job. I'm glad that the White Sox finally realized sunk cost.
Right.
Like, I can't remember who I heard talking about this. I want to say it was Herb Lawrence on the CHGO podcast.
Yeah.
But he referenced probably a month ago, like, hey, what the White Sox need to realize is that Dallas Keuchel is sunk cost. Just wipe it off the board, start new, and don't try and drag them along like the Cubs are doing with Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
Think about how, for example, if the Cubs were in the White Sox situation, what they would do with somebody like Jason Hayward. They should do the absolute same. The White Sox are actually probably a little late to the game with Dallas Keuchel, but they gave him all the chances they could, I suppose.
They
right?
really did. They really gave him every chance. It's just okay. So, but that brings us a great question. Now that the Dallas Keuchel era is over, what is your favorite memory of the Dallas Keuchel experience?
Well, I got a couple. So mine are not
in 2020 season. So there's that.
Yes, I did mention the 2020 season, and was that the one? Yeah, no, they lost that game. He got shelled against Oakland, though. That is something to kind of leave.
Yeah.
That was really the downhill, to be honest with you.
Yep, it started right there.
That's where it started, getting shelled in the playoffs. I do have two personal moments that mean a lot to me with Dallas Keuchel, just because I was in the ballpark for them. So the first was his start against the New York Skankies this year, where he just went out and dealed. And the Yankees have never been able to hit Dallas Keuchel. It's one of those weird things with the Yankees historically where they can't hit Dallas Keuchel, but they hit Liam Hendricks. It's always like, it's this very weird, like, the team matters for some reason.
Yeah.
Or there's like that mentality when you're going up against them. So
it's harder to hit 88 than it is to hit 99. Go figure, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you got a lot of fastball hitters like they do on that team, fastball sluggers too.
Yes.
But Dallas, his start this year against the Yankees, being with two other Yankees fans that, were like, they've got to hit him finally, right? Like, are we going to see Dusty Dallas or Diamond Dallas? And we saw Diamond Dallas that night, even though he complained about how much he pitched that night, which was another sign. Like, I think something to think about too is it's not just his pitching performance, it's his delusion. It's his idea that like he's going to figure, like, I didn't have the right stuff today, or like I could, or then a start where he does well and he's like, I wasn't kept in long enough, and I was like, bitch, please, like, what were you gonna do?
Just take the dub.
Like, it's like you're gonna go face 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6 in their lineup again, and the hottest offense in baseball. Like, get out of here, dude. But I did enjoy seeing that start this year. And then my other favorite Dallas memory is an atrocious one for him last year. White Sox Cubs game. I want to say it was the Friday night game at home, and the Cubs got off to a 7-run first to start the game in the top half.
Dallas was pitching
in the top frame of that inning. And Dallas was awful. There was I think there was one defensive mishap, like one overthrow by Tim or something.
Yeah.
Or by Moncada, one of the two.
Which then he went to post game, was like, yeah, I would have been fine if I.
Of course, yeah. So, but he gave up 7 in the first. Okay. And it was an ugly 7. So, I remember that game so clearly because obviously the White Sox came back and won it. And it's probably one of my favorite crosstown classic games I've ever been to. But
Yeah.
Dallas was on the mound for it, and boy, it was a football score, 17-13 that game. So
Freaking wild. Yeah. I think you kind of touched on what my favorite moments were basically with his delusion, right? Like I just loved how cocky he
unbelievable.
was. He was so cocky in like he had a 7.7 ERA and like a week ago he was like, yeah, I'm fine. And it's like, dude, what is wrong with you? But we all remember when Dallas Keuchel went to the media and said, hey, it's time to make a winning culture for the White Sox. So I had to go into the clubhouse and do a lot of teaching. It was a direct quote. I had to do a lot of teaching. Direct quote from you now DFA'd.
I still
Dallas
can't get
Keuchel.
over that quote. It is ridiculous.
It's absurd. He's just an absurd human. I don't get it. Like I don't know where that confidence comes from, but like hell, he got a Cy Young and now he's gone. Like gone forever.
Yeah, not a Cy Young with us, that's for sure.
No, God, no. But hey, I in all honesty though, I do have a favorite moment, and it's when we signed him. When we signed him, I just the euphoria of having a big name pitcher, like a pitcher that everyone in the MLB knows this guy's name, and the White Sox just signed him. Like that felt so good. And I mean, we were big offseason winners that year, and that didn't really, matter in the long run, obviously. But yeah, it's just that really kicked it off in a way, because we were looking, it was like Yasmani and Dallas, and it's like those are two huge names and they're both White Sox players. It's like it felt good. It just felt good, and it was all downhill from there.
basically.
But hey, that's the end of the era.
Exactly. We can bury it officially.
Put it on the gravestone.
Nice to say that you can just wrap it, put a bow on it, and call it a day now with Dusty Dallas.
R.I.P. in peace. We got Johnny Cueto now. Let's go.
Hey, I'll tell you what, and we're gonna talk a little bit about Johnny Cueto actually in a little bit too, in regard to his last start on Saturday. But I know you got a bone to pick, Tom, and I want to get to that right away.
God, oh God, do I have a bone to pick? So hey, look, the Charlotte Knights. What the fuck are you doing? Okay, like we talked about them last week too. You already had Wes Helms managing that clubhouse for way too damn long, right? But now you had one goddamn job. You had one job, and it was keep Eloy healthy in his rehab. Bro is on the IL again. Like he couldn't get through his rehab stint because now he's got some fucking leg injury again. Yeah, leg soreness. He had to leave the appearance. God damn it, Charlotte. What are you doing? Like the only thing that Charlotte should exist for is to give our hitters confidence when they go down there, because you can hit dongs in that ballpark like it's no problem.
Launching pad.
But that's the only thing it should exist for. I don't care about anything else besides being healthy and watching highlights of our players in rehab stints hitting just mammoth home runs. That's the only thing that should come from Charlotte. And we've got like bad press headlines from them and injured rehabbing players. So what the fuck? I'm sick and tired of hearing about Charlotte, because every time I hear about them, it's bad news. It's just bad news. I'm sick.
Fair. Well, hey, Lance Lynn had a good rehab start, few innings that he pitched out in Charlotte. So there's some good news for you, Tom.
Let me be mad, Steve.
Not going to be all doom. Can't be all doom and gloom. No. And here's the Eloy thing. Is he ever going to be healthy? I'm really worried. I mean, this is a guy that the White Sox, with the Quintana trade, he was the main piece, right? This guy's going to mash the ball. He's going to be a 500 home run guy in his career. Like his raw power is unlike anything we've ever seen. We haven't seen it since 2019. I mean, in 2020, he had a solid season too. He was healthy. It was a shortened season. He didn't have a ton of pop, but was getting a lot of good contact and a lot of promising things. But we haven't seen any sort of major power from him since that time, since 2019 and a little bit in 2020.
Yep.
Are we ever going to see Eloy Jimenez healthy in a White Sox uniform?
I mean, what we've got like however many, like 3 or 4 more years, whatever it is. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe next. My fear is that like he puts it together, but it's a year too late. Like, the year after Gio walks, and it's like, I don't know, man. I just feel like he's gonna mash once the window's closed. Like that's what I feel, and that sucks because we need him to mash right now. But there's also like, think about it in this sense, like we're begging for like the real Eloy. Maybe we get it in the back half of this season. Like 2019 when he mashed was the back half of the season. So we got a shitty look at this man. Greg Miller, he wants to trade him. You can't trade a guy who can't stay healthy. Like, and he says once he proves he can stay healthy, we're gonna want him. Like, you don't want to trade that guy. Like, so I just think of it in the sense of like, you can't trade him now because nobody wants him because he's hurt. And if you want to get him healthy before you can trade him so that you can trade him, by that point, you shouldn't trade him because you're in your window and he's a good player. So it just seems like, it just feels like that we're on the cusp of being a good team. And I know that's crazy to say after that, like, bad loss 2 days ago to the Cubs. And
you're talking about we're on the cusp of being a good team for this season.
This season, the White Sox. The White Sox.
Because I was going to say this team, according to, and we'll talk about this in a minute too, but AJ Pierzynski with his comment about what the White Sox should be this year, right?
Yep.
They were a good team last year. They were a good team in 2020. They're not a good team right now, and we can honestly say that when we evaluate this team, we're not going to say they're good.
Yeah.
So you're saying they're on the cusp right now, in your opinion, of being good this year?
I think, like, look, maybe I shouldn't say on the cusp because we really do need like TA to come back. I think like give us 4 weeks of continued like 500 baseball. We got 4 more weeks of 500 baseball, IMO, and then once that happens, once those 4 weeks are up, I bet you Tim's back and I bet you Eloy's back and Lance. Those 3 guys are back in 4 weeks, right? Ish.
Yep.
Ballpark. Don't like give me a month is what I'm saying. Like,
yep. I'm gonna up you 5 weeks. Okay, they've got to get through the San Francisco series. If they are a 500 ball club, be a 500 ball club. Shout out to Paul Sanchez, former baseball coach. Bring a jacket. Okay, in 5 weeks from now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will be July 4th. Exactly.
Yep.
If they can get to that July 4th series against the Twins, be a 500 ball club, and start taking care of business, everybody's healthy, we're ready to go. I know that's the Kenny Williams way with staying healthy, right? I would say we're beyond even what our Twins fan, Joel, here in the comments is saying. Would you say we are on the cusp of being a good team? No, I think we are right on that edge. I really do. I know we're 5 games back in Minnesota right now. I think Minnesota's playing out of their minds right now. I think this Minnesota baseball team is the Twinkies are not what their record says they are. You're getting stellar performances from average starting pitching.
Yeah.
You got a bullpen that I don't believe in. And Byron Buxton is the healthiest, or when healthy, is the best player in baseball, but there's a huge caveat in that.
Yeah.
So and I know they're starting to fall. They're not. I don't know if they're falling apart, but they're definitely starting to have some injury problems already throughout the year. So the White Sox are hitting this stretch right now where it's, we're revving up, starting to get healthy. I'm not ready to throw in the towel. Yes, it's rough being back home, losing 3 out of 5 to Boston and the Cubs combined, right? So they're catching teams at their hottest point.
They really
the Yankees, the Red Sox. I haven't seen the Cubs hit the way they did and at any time in the well, I should take that back because they were hitting really well against the Reds.
Yeah, they've
But
been hitting well for like a week now or so.
right, getting revved up against the Reds to face us is a nice warm up, So I've got faith. And to go back on the Aloy thing, do you know who Aloy's career reminds me of, Tom, so far?
Oof. Who's injured a lot? I don't know. Tell me.
Guy who didn't have a healthy season, started in the league at age 22. Just like I think Aloy started maybe at 23. But this guy had a few games in 2014, played a bunch in 2015, injured 16, 17, 18, and then had his first 162 in 2019. It's a guy you wanted in the offseason. Jorge Soler.
Oh my God, that's a good comp.
He reminds me a lot of Jorge Soler. It's not good defense. The team is worried about him because of his defense. They're worried about him because of his health issues, but can hit the absolute cover off the ball.
And he's going to go win a World Series with somebody else. There you go.
So is it? Well, I'm hoping
he's going to be a huge. No,
he won a World Series with the Cubs. He won a World Series with the Cubs, man. He was on that team, right? Yeah, he was on the 2016 team. He didn't get traded until
not the contributor, not like a huge contributor though. Like he was a like think about it the way that I meant. Is like he's going to be just absolute. And I said like he's going to be a year too late with that production. Like he's going to go off somewhere else. I feel it, man, and it's going to kill me.
I hope it's not true. But even those 86 games that he played and those 264 at bats in a Cubs uniform in 2016, even that kind of production from Aloy. I mean, if you're going to get him to patch in 80 plus games this year and hit the cover off the ball, if it's at the right times, let's do it, man. I'm really hoping that he flourishes sooner than later. But I don't say give up on him. I'm just, it's funny that we're having this kind of conversation.
What I was about to point that out too is like, first of all, we're a team at Memorial Day, which is where you usually look at yourselves and you say, okay, we kind of can see a good sample size on what the team really is. We're at 500. We were not supposed to be here. So we're talking a lot of positivity about being on the cusp of being a good team. Thanks, Joel. But where's all this positivity coming from? What I'm trying to say is, Steve, I know you have a bone to pick.
Oh, baby. You already know I got a bone to pick. and it's with the front office, okay? Anybody who seriously thought, and I already brought this up, so I won't elaborate. Anybody who really thought that Josh Harrison, Yuri Garcia, Jake Berger were the answer, no. So I already brought up the numbers. I'm worried that the front office doesn't make a move at the deadline. What if the White Sox at the deadline are still 5 games back in Minnesota? Do you think that they have the guts,
cojones,
to put it on the line?
I mean, I would worry. My thing is, I would worry if they did, right? I would because what I mean by that is I'm losing a little faith in my mans.
In Rick?
Yeah, because it's like, there's a ton of outfield really good players out there, and I think that could be a hole that we can patch. Like we can still patch that right field hole because AJ Pollock is not cutting it, right? But wait, the temptation is to go out and trade for another position of need, which is second base. And second base is not a deep position across the league. We can't just, cherry pick an all-star amazing second baseman because they're few and far between, and they're all on contending teams already. So what the fuck do you want? Like, we have Josh Harrison, who sucks ass, I'll admit. But I don't know what a better solution is, to be honest. Like, we keep looking around the league and it's like, trade for Gene Segura, or like Gene Segura's on a good team, or on a not a good team, but on a team that's trying to go for it. And like, there's just not second baseman out there. Eduardo Escobar got picked up and is on the fucking Mets. Like, there's not really good second base options. Maybe you could get a shortstop and ask him to go to second base. Like, that's an option possibly to trade for and kind of shoehorn it in. But again, we're already complaining about defense, Steve. So you want to go and like fuck up the defense again? And that's why I say Jake Berger to second base. Don't make any trades during the the deadline, and let's just fucking roll with it, baby. You gotta trust.
You're funny for that.
You gotta enjoy the ride, Steve.
Oh my God, I'm joined here by Steve Stone. Steve Stone, how you doing today?
I couldn't be happy to be here.
I'm not enjoying the ride though. That's the problem, you know. And
yeah,
it's something's got to give, and I still am holding out. And I brought this up last week. There's no way that these veterans can be this bad for the rest of the year. Are all these guys going to have career low numbers? I mean, I already mentioned Jose Abreu is kind of on the up and up, right? He's hitting above league average now, right? But it would still be an extremely low year for him in comparison to the rest of his career if his numbers stayed the same. Yasmani, yuck. Like, there's no way he's gonna be this bad the rest of the year. Even Larry, there's no way he's gonna be that bad for the rest of the year. AJ Pollock, OPS plus of 66. There's no way he's gonna be this bad for the rest of the year. Aloy, not in the lineup yet. We've had Luis. That's, you got like guys like, for example, Jose Abreu has 189 plate appearances, whereas Luis only has 144, and usually he's batting above Abreu in the lineup. So I don't know. I think we have I want to believe we have most of the right pieces. It's just, it all comes down to performance. And when the finger gets pointed, I think a lot of times it has to come down to the coaching staff too.
Yeah.
Yes, TLR, but also deeper than that. Frank Menachino. I've been calling for his head now for almost a month, right? You can't have 11 games, Tom. 11 games this year where they've scored 0 or 1 run in the first 9 innings of a game.
Yeah.
In the first 9 innings, 1 or 0 runs 11 times. That's a quarter of their games this year.
That's so bad.
A quarter of their games, 1 out of 4, they're putting up a run or less. That's never acceptable. Somebody has to be held accountable.
Well, it'll be acceptable in a 100-loss season, but
right, not with a team. Not with a team where people are saying, yeah, they're going to run through their division and possibly have a chance to contend for a pennant.
Yeah. Oh, it feels so much better. See, we were so positive before, and it just didn't feel right. Now
there we go. Now you feel the mood is in now, right? You got the mood is settling in.
Oh man!
And so this is the thing. I know people say coaching, and the personnel that's in the dugout doesn't matter that much. In this situation, I really think it does, because it's multiple guys who can't figure out their shit. It's not just one veteran who's struggling majorly and everybody else has it together, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a team mentality.
Yep. It was a throwaway comment during that Fox broadcast with AJ Przinsky. And was it Len?
Yeah, Len was in the booth with him.
That was weird to me, because it was like I was sitting there and I was like, this is a Sox broadcast. It was not, but anyway, but it was a throwaway comment like at the start of the game, and AJ's like, yeah, there have been 45 games and 45 different lineups used by TLR, and like how like the offense is slumping. I don't know, like try running it back and like giving these guys an opportunity to settle into a fucking spot in the order, settle into a lineup. Like I would be really interested to see if there's a similar stat along how the fielding is set up. Because I feel like there hasn't been a back-to-back day where the lineup in the field or the batting order has been anywhere close to what it was the day before. I feel like every day, like we're in a club that's supposed to have their core completely settled. They have everything that they need, all the players that they need to contend. And what that usually means is like, plug this guy into left field, plug this guy into right field, plug this guy into center, plug that guy at short, plug that guy at third, plug that guy at first, and run your fucking lineup. You know, like it's supposed to just be the same shit because these guys are good enough to play every day. It's not like bullshit like this where it's like changing the lineup every day, changing the way everybody's playing out in the field every day. That's for teams that suck ass and you're trying to make something out of nothing. This team doesn't suck ass. Let them play their fucking positions and same spot in the order, and they'll figure it out because they're good. I don't know. Man, I just like, anyway, I didn't realize I was about to get real ticked up about that, but I knew I was mad, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's absolutely infuriating. I can't believe that we got some technical issues with Tommy and his sound on the other end. So he's going to figure that out in a second. There is, there's some, it's absolutely ridiculous to think that the lineup construction is playing such a big part in all of this, right? We have to think all of these different lineups. And I know it's the same idea we talked about with the bullpen, like with Craig Kimbrell. You know, if he's a good pitcher, he should be able to pitch wherever, 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning. Okay. There is a mental aspect to baseball that cannot be measured by statistics, that cannot be measured by looking at, advanced data and metrics, right? There's that mental component that, especially struggling players, when a player is struggling, they're looking for consistency. They're not looking to be bounced back and forth in the lineup, up and down, different positions. There has to be a sense of, this is your spot, go out there, do your job, this is what you're good at, right? And they have those guys in the lineup, as you said, Tom, that can really do this, that are able to. And it's just all about consistency at this point. It's like, for example, my first few games of playing softball over the last 4 or 5. Yeah, exactly. Right. Men's 12-inch softball, they were bouncing me around in the lineup. I started as a leadoff guy. Then they moved me to second. Then they moved me to 8th. Then they moved me to 6th. And then finally, the last couple games, they've batted me last, right? And a lot of that has to deal with, yes, I suck and I cannot hit the ball. But they batted me last. In the last couple games, I've made really good contact. Last game, I went 2 for 2, right? It's because I know my place in the lineup now. I know where I'm supposed to be batting. It's in my head. It's not something I have to think about. So these guys need that too, especially considering they're playing the game every single day. So
playing the game every single day. And they're fucking, it feels like Tony's not treating them like they're men almost. It's like he's fucking with their livelihood or whatever. I don't know. I'm really heated about it, and I'm like drawing greater conclusions than I think I need to be about it. But I really think that is a source of a lot of these issues, is that Tony's not just letting them go out there and play. He's trying to do too much. He's trying to fuck around too much. And it's actually causing a problem.
Absolutely. And I know that I was somebody who said a little while ago that, yes, the guys go out there and they play the game, which I still agree with. Ultimately, it comes down to the guys going out there and performing, but make it easier on them. You got to start making better decisions. And, almost picking, it almost seems like some games it's names getting picked out of a hat. Right. In regard to the batting order, outside of Tim batting 1 and Abreu batting 4, right? Yeah. It's like, those are the 2 solidified spots. All right, let's start drawing straws.
Which is wild. It's just wild. Like, you can't have, there's 9 guys who play in the field and 9 guys who play in the lineup, because I'm thinking pitcher, designated hitter, but still, you can't have only 2 guys that play the same spot in the lineup and the same spot in the field every day. There's no consistency. What I think about is how we as fans, we draw up what's the best lineup for this team? And we draw it up and we mull it over and we argue about, no, this guy should bat here, this guy should bat there. But we pretty much all agree on the guys who should be in the lineup every day when healthy. And then we, argue about who should bat 2, 3, 4. Tony's out here fucking around and like he just throws out completely what the best lineup should be. And he's like, what do I feel like doing today? And then these Sunday getaway day lineups, like yesterday was actually a pretty shitty lineup. If you think about it, like, mind you, he's dealing with injuries and Tim went down and Danny Mendick had to come in. But that lineup was not a contending team's lineup. You have Jake Berger, Danny Mendick, fucking AJ Pollock, who sucks ass right now, Reese McGuire out here. Like, it was not a good lineup, dude.
Well, and hey, ever since you started ripping on AJ Pollock, he's actually been playing a little bit better. So
he was complete shite the last couple days, you dingbat. I'm sorry, that was aggressive. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You can get passionate about AJ Pollock sucking, but by the end of the year, when he's got an OPS plus of like 110, you can go ahead and kindly lick the bottom of my scrotum.
Dude,
what you
think about it this way. Your bar has consistently dropped and dropped and dropped. I'm pretty sure you said that he was guaranteed to have like a 140 OPS.
No.
Like,
that's the months of June and July throughout his career.
Yeah. Dude,
I'm not going to say he's the 140 OPS. At that point, he's going to be contending for an MVP.
You're like,
I mean,
oh, you're going to have to lick the bottom of my scrotum when he's like barely better than league average is like what you just told me. It's like
110 plus. That's solid.
It's exactly. It's solid. It's like a little bit better than the average player. And so
I am not expecting AJ Pollock to be a superstar this year. I'm expecting him to be a good, solid player because think about what we've had in right field over the last several years.
I don't know why you're hitting Trace Thompson right now. His brother is in the NBA finals.
Of all the guys you could defend, you go for Trace Thompson. Not even like not even McDonald's All-American Daniel Palka. Come on now, let's be real here. No, and I do have to one last thing. You know, as we're talking about second and third base and people getting plugged in, it's atrocious, right?
Just looks
so
bad, man.
Combined second and third. Sorry, I'm talking about 2 and 3 hitters this year.
It's number 2
of the lineup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 2
so
hitter,
the number 2 and 3 hitters in this lineup, right? And mind you, it's been a rotating door. It's not the consistent guys. Weighted on base average of 251. Okay, that's good enough for a hitting average. I know you love batting average, Tom.
I love
192 batting average, 241 on base, 321 slugging.
Oh Jesus.
Good enough for a 563 OPS.
That slugging is so bad.
Right. And I mean, if you want power numbers, right? If you're a power numbers guy, you're like, okay, like what about their ISO power? Are they bringing pop to the plate, right? Even like, for example, the Boston Red Sox, who have the highest weighted on base average of their 2 and 3 hitters at 412 this year, right? Not bringing a lot of power with an ISO power of 202 compared to the Yankees with like 324 out of those spots. But the White Sox ISO power in that compartment is 130. Okay, it's like 2 is respectable. 2+ is respectable, right? And right now the White Sox are at 130, and just like perusing through the numbers, it's like bottom 5 in the league out of those spots for sure. So you're not getting power. You're not hitting for average. You're not hitting 300 the Frank Menechino way.
Yeah.
You're not taking walks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just bad.
It's also like those are the spots in the order 2 and 3. I'm glad you picked those ones because those are the spots in the order that are supposed to produce at a high clip, and they're just not. They're like you might as well like have read off the 7 and 8 parts of the lineup. Like these are the guys that you're supposed to be able to hide. Guys that are producing like that, you're supposed to be able to hide in a contending team's lineup, and yet we're like that's the production we're getting out of the top of the order. Like
exactly. And I got to give some credit. That was Casey Boguslaw on Twitter who posted that information via Fangraphs. So thank you for making it easy for my eyes to read through in order to rip on just how bad the good guys on this lineup should be.
Yeah.
So a healthy Moncada is going to be key. I mean, there's so many keys to this year that just have not fallen into place yet. And once a couple of those things do, I have hope. I really do. But right now, it's just so hard to watch as a fan and as somebody that had extremely high expectations for this year.
Absolutely. Now, to flip the script a little bit here on you, Steve.
Yeah, let's do it.
We didn't really get to talk about how's your week, which we usually talk about how our weeks are at the start of this because, we like to kind of catch up and just bullshit around for a little bit. But I know that a lot of people's weeks were kind of shite. And well, I'm going to give the floor to you because I know you've got something to say.
No, for sure. Obviously, the tragedy that occurred in Uvalde, Texas, over what day was that, Tom? Monday, Tuesday, has sat deep in my heart over the past week. Obviously, as an educator, as a current teacher here in America, it's heartbreaking, and it's extremely just devastating to think about what happened within a school building, within a place that should be a place of safety, a place of comfort, a place where violence is not present. It's a place that can be trusting and is a safe haven of a community, especially in a smaller town, in a smaller city. I really, outside of the game that I went to on Wednesday, I would say from the tragedy onward, I really couldn't think about baseball all this week. Maybe it's social media contributing to that. Maybe it's looking on my Twitter stream and seeing that instead of White Sox baseball that was occupying my mind space. But on in addition to that, as a teacher, it hits different. I'll say this. I went on Facebook, which is a mistake in and of itself. And I saw an old one of my high school classmates who said that the solution to this was training and arming teachers. While training teachers to handle crisis situations is extremely important, giving them firearms in the classroom is not the solution, especially as somebody that teaches in a urban setting, in a northwest west-ish side Chicago school, where firearms and violence are all too real for children. Me packing on my waist is not the way to build trust and respect in the proper way. So with that being said, arming teachers, not a solution. Just taking a moment of silence is not a solution.
Right.
It's up to our lawmakers. And I know there aren't policymakers on, listening to this podcast, but I would not be doing what's right if I didn't speak up on this platform and say that it's time for change. It's time for our lawmakers and the people who hold power in this country, the people who can bring about change. If it wouldn't be right for me to just sit back and not say they shouldn't do anything, because they need to do something. Front page of the New York Times listed off I don't know if it was all of them, but tons of mass shootings that have happened in the last couple of years within the United States. And and they took whatever line it was from those original articles that said that the firearm was legally attained. It's not that these are bad guys who are making back alley deals for AR-15s, right? These are the people who have committed these heinous and heinous crimes and these atrocities, are people that obtained their weapons legally. So the fact that is a fact in all of these situations means that there needs to be, there needs to be change that is brought about, whether it be smart and more comprehensive background checks or AR-15 ban, whatever that looks like, it needs to happen. And bringing more weapons into the situation, especially within our schools, is something that I cannot advocate for. So, right. Tom, thanks for letting me have the floor. But yeah, it's extremely saddening and disheartening when this is a common occurrence in the United States of America, and there's nothing done to remedy the situation.
100%. And I'm thankful for your perspective, because it's like, you know, I feel like it's so easy sometimes for society to just ask more from the people who are already giving so much. You know, with COVID-19, it was just like, you know, oh, these, you know, restaurant workers, these, you know, grocery store clerks, these, you know, nurses, especially doctors. Oh, they're, you know, like, doing what they're supposed to do anyway. That's their job, you know, so that I can sit on my ass at home, you know, and be safe. Like, and we're expecting that. And then we're asking more on top of that, even like, oh, why aren't your hours open? Like, why aren't you letting me dine in right now, or whatever it is? And now, like, in this situation, it's like we ask so fucking much from teachers already. We ask them to be like crisis intervention specialists on top of, you know, subject experts, you know, and, you know, like it's too damn much. You can't tell me that it's logical to then ask them to also go through firearms training. Like, it's just there's too much on these people's plates already. Like, there's no there's no good reason to think that taking firearms away from those, like taking ARs off the market, there's no logical way to tell me that that's not a good idea. Like, it's time. And I really do feel like this time is different. So many more people are talking about it in a way that I feel like we haven't done in a long time. And that gives me hope, even though, like, I don't know if that's a misplaced hope in the midst of this tragedy, but I have this inkling that this one's different. This one's different. I don't know, but I feel it. So
I hope you're right. And, you know, I appreciate what you're saying about educators and teachers, and, you know, the hard work that's poured into our kids day in, day out. Mm-hmm. And how exhausting it is, and how there's already a lot on our plate. And it doesn't even come down to that for me. It just comes down to common sense. Let's just start. If people are dying of mass shootings constantly, right, and it's the same weapon, the weapon is attained in the same manner, mm-hmm, and we're not making the right moves to change those things,
right,
then what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lack of care. It's a lack of empathy. It's a lack of doing what's right. So
yeah, people are just not giving a fuck, which is horrible.
Yep,
it's horrible, man.
So, well, yeah, I know that's on a heavy note, but
right.
It's important to bring up. So I'm glad that we took the space to do that today.
And thank you for allowing us to, you know, take that time from you. But you know, I brought up COVID really briefly there for a second, but guess what? Our White Sox were traveling to Canada.
Oh, yes.
And Canada doesn't really fuck around, and they have said that you can't come into the country unless you're vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So what that means, and we're kicking off a little segment here. He said it. Rick Hahn hit the media and he said, we will wind up making a couple of roster moves before we get to Toronto, because our current an active roster is not 100% vaccinated. And as a result, we have 2 players who will have to be replaced when we get there. So I don't want to speculate on who's who just yet, but it's just frustrating, at this point. Like, I don't know. And we're talking like years ago at this point, we were talking about like, if you're not going to get it, I don't want to yell at you anymore because you're just not going to get it. Like it's a moot point, but it's just like looking at it, like it's frustrating because it's something that shouldn't be an issue on a baseball diamond. It just shouldn't be a problem where you're like having to make roster moves because somebody's conscientiously objecting to this. Like it's, if we were going to grow a third leg from this vaccine, it would have started happening already. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like it's fine. Just get anyway. But
1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah. You said you didn't want to speculate yet on who's who. So we won't do that. In regard to who's going to be put on that, who won't be traveling with the team, I should say.
We'll find out, right?
Yes.
It'll be very obvious when they're not there. So.
Right. So yeah, it's frustrating, but hey, it's luckily for the White Sox situation, it's only 3 games in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like we have to deal with 9 games, for example, with the Yankees. Think about that they're guys who are unvaccinated. I think is Aaron Judge one of them, or did he get vaccinated? I'm trying to remember.
I'm pretty sure recently they got a few more of their players vaccinated who weren't.
Okay. Like Rizzo. I know Rizzo was one of them.
Right. And so I think I saw a headline that like they brought their whole team or something like that, or they brought anyway. So they're like, but that is a thing though. Like and I think the sad thing about it is like the only way to convince them to do it is that it's a competitive advantage if they do.
Right.
Like, I mean, but hey, whatever convinces you to get it, like
just see Hal Steinbrenner breaking into Anthony Rizzo's hotel room and stabbing his arm with a COVID-19 vaccination,
I gotcha. Surprise.
So yeah. So hey, it's only 3 games, and we'll bounce back from it. And I'm really, once again, I hope it doesn't come back to bite the White Sox, but we're gonna see who those players are, and it's gonna be a lot of I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of memes and comments out there on the White Sox Twitter sphere. So
look, it's all fun and games until our first playoff series is against Toronto. And
though, you're not wrong.
I'm telling you, like it's a possibility. Like they could be a wild card team, and we could win our division. And you never know, man. You never know.
Absolutely. Well, you've got one more. He said it that you want to touch on, and then we're gonna wrap up there.
Yes, and we briefly touched on it earlier. But this one's funny, so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to say this at the end.
Jordan Miller was already in the comments saying,
"Yeah,
a while ago.
Like." So AJ Brzezinski takes an interview with our Chuck, who whatever, that guy's fine. But AJ Brzezinski is sitting in the dugout at Sox Park, and he calls over Jerry. By the way, Jerry's just walking around like he owns the place, because he does.
Because I was gonna say. Well, actually, he doesn't own the stadium.
He doesn't own the stadium. The city of Chicago or the state of Illinois or something. But he's walking around like he owns the place, and AJ calls him over, and he's like, "Hey, Jerry, the White Sox should win the division by 20 games." And he says it into the mic. And then Chuck's like, "Yeah, we're rolling, Jerry. What do you think?" And Jerry's like, "Oh, hopefully." But this man, AJ Brzezinski, who's a paid pundit, like to talk about the MLB, straight up thinks that the White Sox should be winning this division by 20 games. 20. Like, I mean, maybe you're right, but that's not what it looks like right now.
It's not going to happen. I could have told you at the beginning of the year that the White Sox weren't going to win the division by 20.
20 games. It's wild.
But what AJ's trying to say, yes, that's an exaggeration. And that's on brand for AJ Brzezinski to exaggerate a little bit, right? We all know what it was like having him as, a staple in our lineup. on the 2005 World Series team, but we also know what it was like to have him as a thorn in our side when he was with the Twins previously. So we've seen both sides of AJ Pierzynski as White Sox fans. If you grew up watching the ball team, which Tommy was too busy, struggling getting hit by coach pitch.
Unbelievable
underhand pitches when he was
unbelievable.
Actually it was probably overhand, Tom. I should give you some credit.
It was overhand.
So Tommy's so Chicago that he was playing 16-inch softball at age 8, so
getting clocked by while I was doing it too.
Yeah, no, not quite. So no, and obviously, like I said, a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's there's some truth in it, in saying that this team should have been slotted to win this division by at least 10 games this year. Should have been probably them as the only team above 500. The Twins, like I said, playing great ball. The other three teams in the division suck right now and probably will continue to suck unless Cleveland's pitching ramps up and their offense does something that's worth a damn.
They might,
and isn't, and actually Cleveland's offense has been better than the White Sox this year. So I shouldn't talk too much shit. So yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
That's the thing. Right? He said should, not they will win by 20 games, but they should. And that even if they don't win the division, that statement's still true. They should have won by 20 games.
Right.
Like
and since we're on the topic of AJ Pierzynski, let's talk about him in the Fox Sports booth for Baseball Night in America, the Saturday night game, Cubs Sox on Fox on national television this year, right? Around this weekend. So he's in the booth, and basically he was ripping Tony La Russa to shreds without really calling him out.
Yeah, no name calling, but he absolutely was.
He was like, Cueto's still in. This is really, really surprising and really bold that Johnny Cueto is, still in the game after almost 100 pitches and having issues, kind of getting out of jams. Cueto went way too long on Saturday, right? And then he also commented on the lineup construction, which we mentioned earlier in the podcast, right? AJ knows it, and he's not a major league manager, but he's a guy that was in the league for 15 plus years. He knows what switching up the lineup consistently and having no consistency does to these guys.
Yeah.
So kudos to AJ. I got to give him props for realizing what this team should be.
Yeah, who knew in 2022 we'd be giving props to AJ when talking about the White Sox? Like, He does seem to be. I by the way, put this out there really quick. A lot of Sox fans don't like what he does in the booth, and maybe it's because he's not as much of a hometown call as we might assume he would be. But that's because he's doing a damn good job. I sincerely like what he does because I think he's the kind of broadcaster that I like because he's willing to go off the cuff, just and crack a joke. Guy's electric. He's funny. He's going to call Jerry over during the middle of an interview and make a ridiculous prediction about the team. Fuck it. I mean, it's
AJ has a future in broadcasting baseball.
Absolutely.
For sure. I absolutely believe that. And he understands the game well enough, and he's not a water carrier. He just kind of
not A-Rod.
He's a straight shooter that doesn't make ridiculous comments, and that's what a lot of baseball color commentators need to be.
Yes, like Steve Stone. Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, baby.
The ride. That's my final thoughts. Steve, do you have any final thoughts?
Steve Stone's a water carrier. That's my final thought.
Well, on that note, where we disagree vehemently, in Han we trust.
Wake up this offense. We must. Please. Need more consistency in the lineup. Need to actually hit the damn baseball and change the plate approach. Fire Frank Menachino to the goddamn sun. Again, I'm calling for it.
Change the plate approach. Change the lineup construction, though, Steve. Yeah, let's do it again.
No, change it one time to what it should be and leave it.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Talk to you.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next